Welcome to my festive extravaganza. Let's get on with the show.
I wanted to start by talking about that initial moment when you were first lifted onto the stage and you look out and you see this packed house at the London Coliseum. All these people, they're there to see you and support you. Can you take me back to that moment and sort of what you were feeling at that time?
Completely overwhelmed. You know, when my director, he and I are great bedfellows because I was literally, when he came into the room and went, so you know that they have a lift that comes up through the floor. I think we need to use it, don't I? I was like, hell yes! So coming up through the floor and being literally pinned back and engulfed by everyone's support and love and excitement and positivity, how could I not then go, I am going to sock it between your eyeballs? So this song is for you, my little girlie, and you, Mama.
Another pretty emotional moment is when you dedicate a song to your mother and your daughter. And you tell this terrific story about 8-year-old Hannah seeing her mother perform at the Coliseum. And then we cut to your daughter, and she's seeing you perform.
Yeah, insane. The fact that my daughter was 8 when we shot it, and she's sitting in exactly the same box that I sat in from the age of 8. I mean, you can't make it up. What I didn't mention was that my mum is heavily inflicted by Parkinson's disease and is in a wheelchair at the back of the auditorium, and I didn't even know whether she would make it to the recording of it, you know, to be alive still. And my dad sitting next to her looking so smart. To be able to have them both there and to pay tribute to both my mum and my dad and my daughter for allowing me the luxury of being who I am, to Apple for holding out for that theatre. I said to them, thank you so much for all these beautiful places that you're offering for me to do this around the world, prestigious, pinch me moment places. But for them to understand that my first foray into this had to be at the London Coliseum, to pay tribute to the place that ignited my passion.
Christmas specials used to be something of a tradition on broadcast TV. Your pal Michael Bublé has sort of single-handedly been keeping this genre alive for a few years now. Were there any Christmas specials that sort of, young Hannah was looking to growing up and now aspiring to as you went to do your own?
I wanted it to be that kind of timeless, but with a big nod to the old specials that you're talking about. I wanted it to be Dean Martin meets Carol Burnett meets Mary Tyler Moore, the blend of on-stage, off-stage, skits, back onto the stage, totally live vocals. You know, and Apple were very keen to have an old-school Christmas special with an injection of an SNL vibe.
I'm your Christmas miracle!
The special clocks in at roughly 45 minutes. Once you factor in some of the scripted bits, sort of limits you in terms of set list, which got me thinking about song selection. Were there any songs you were sort of adamant about having in the show, and were there any songs you wanted that didn't make the cut?
Oh Holy Night had to be in it because it's the centerpiece. If you look on the timeline, 20 minutes in, I tell everyone why we're there. It was very important for me. I'm very interested in the psychology of an audience. I always have been since I've been a live theatre performer, letting an audience know that you know what you're doing. Because when I'm in an audience, I want to see a performer that makes me go, I can kick off my shoes and just let this wash over me. That was even more important because it was the 27th of May and very hot and sweaty in London. I wanted to really set the scene straight away. You need to come in, slap people around the face with one song and go, I've got this, slap them around the face with another song. I've got my Ted Lasso boys here. Then have a beautiful sit-down moment with Leslie Odom Jr. and both of us really sing. And then we come to the reason why we're there. So each song is chosen for a very specific reason. When we get to A Holy Night, I wanted it to be a moment of acknowledging the beautiful, the sad in your life, the things that you wouldn't have that way, but you hold even closer at Christmas. I wanted it to be a traditional song that I've always loved for my mum, and to show at the end of the song what I have learnt from her voice. And it's the first time I open my voice up in a more classical capacity. And of course, the English National Opera Chorus that joined me, that offered themselves up because they knew that I was doing it at their theatre and they knew why. And 6 or 7 of those choristers on stage with me are like aunties and uncles to me because they were there when my mum was there.
The thrill of home, the weary world rejoices.
You managed to work most of your Ted Lasso castmates into this special, whether it's sort of part of the show or, you know, cutting to Toheeb and Jeremy in the audience is so great.
Joy to the world. Now you.
We haven't got time, darling.
Well, it's just that you let Phil sing, so, you know.
How important was it for you to both have them there, not only for, you know, the emotional support, but also the literal support? So many of these guys are there singing with you and dancing with you on stage.
It meant the world to me, and they had to be there. They had to be there because we all miss it terribly. If the general public miss Ted Lasso, trust me, us greyhounds miss it more, for sure.
I had no idea there was a hot tub in here.
Yeah, I put one on your rider.
Going into a rehearsal space with all those AFC Richmond boys dancing around with Christmas canes, it was just gorgeous. I had to have Sudeikis coming in at the end.
Hey! Jingle bells, jingle bells.
And it had to be him at the end because he's the reason why these two worlds of mine have converged and exploded so much because he trusted in me.
We mentioned Bublé earlier, and he's done several of these specials. If Apple came to you and said they'd like to make this an annual tradition, would you be on board?
Oh no, I'd say, oh no, no, no. Of course I would. I keep saying to everybody, this is like my starter portion. Let's see what we give you as a main course.